Imagine turning barren desert sand into a thriving watermelon farm in just 40 days. That's exactly what happened in the UAE last spring, and the technology behind it could solve food security challenges in some of the driest places on Earth. I'm Grant, and this is Happy Eco News. The UAE imports nearly all its fresh produce, which makes food security a constant worry. But this achievement showed that with the right approach, even desert sand can support crops. The technology is called liquid nanoclay, and it's designed to fix fundamental problems with how sandy soil holds water and nutrients. The story behind this innovation is fascinating, and it starts in Egypt's Nile Delta back in the 1980s. Farmers began noticing that their historically fertile land was losing productivity at an alarming rate. For thousands of years, the Nile Delta had sustained agriculture that allowed ancient civilizations to flourish. But something had changed dramatically in just a couple of decades. Scientists discovered the problem traced back to the Aswan Dam, which was built in the 1960s. Before the dams existed, the annual Nile floods would deposit clay particles, minerals, and nutrients across the delta plains. Those clay particles gave the soil its ability to retain water and support plant life. The dam stopped these annual deposits, and within 10 years, the soil had basically exhausted its fertility. This discovery led researchers to understand the critical role clay plays in soil health. Desert Control is a Norway-based company that's developing the nanoclay solution. Clay, in proper amounts, fundamentally changes how soil holds moisture and supports plants. The company's goal is to transform unproductive desert land into farmable terrain. Farmers have been adding clay to soil for thousands of years, but traditional methods create serious problems. Working the thick clay into the ground requires intense labor and disrupts underground ecosystems. When you dig up soil, you release stored carbon back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. The process also damages mycelium, which are amazing fungal networks that help plants absorb nutrients and hold the soil together. They tested it in China, Egypt, the UAE, and in Pakistan, and they found that every soil type requires a custom formulation. Here's how the liquid nanoclay actually works. It coats sand particles with a thin layer of clay. Sand grains carry a positive electrical charge, while clay particles are negative, so they naturally bind together when they meet. This creates formations that trap water and nutrients in the root zone, right where the plants need them most. Once it's applied, the treated sand can actually support crops within 7 hours. The International Center for Biosaline Agriculture in Dubai independently verified that this technology actually works. Desert Control now plans to build mobile factories inside shipping containers that can produce the liquid nanoclay right where the farmers need it. These units will use local clay and employ regional workers. The company has already completed trial projects across multiple continents, and they're working towards commercial scaling that would treat thousands of acres every year. The first factory will produce enough liquid nanoclay to treat large areas quickly. Cities in the UAE are planning to use it in parks because the treatment cuts water consumption by nearly half. Independent soil scientists have weighed in on the nanoclay approach, and while they acknowledge its potential for sandy soils, experts note that soil restoration methods really need to match specific soil types and conditions. Sandy soils represent only one category of degraded land worldwide. Scientists also point out that we need long-term studies to understand how nanoclay treatments interact with soil biology over multiple growing seasons. Cost remains the biggest barrier to widespread adoption right now, though. Currently, treating 1 square meter of land costs around $2. This works for small farms in wealthy countries like the UAE, but farmers in sub-Saharan Africa can't afford those kind of upfront costs. Desert Control believes that scaling up production can reduce costs to around 20 cents per square meter. At that price, transforming desert land becomes cheaper than buying established farmland elsewhere, which typically costs between 50 cents and $3 per square meter. Desert Control is partnering with the United Nations on the Great Green Wall project, creating a barrier of trees and agricultural land to stop desert expansion across North Africa. Again, the nanoclay technology only works in sandy soils, which limits its application. Other types of degraded soil types need different solutions. Biochar helps restore soils that have lost organic carbon. Vermiculite and polymer beads improve water retention, but they require disruptive soil cultivation. The UAE watermelon experiment really proved valuable in an unexpected way. When COVID-19 lockdowns began, that trial plot produced around 200 kilograms of watermelons, zucchinis, and pearl millet. When strict lockdowns prevented food imports, Desert Control worked with relief organizations to distribute this fresh produce to local families who suddenly had limited access to fruits and vegetables. Soil scientists emphasize that nanoclay represents only one tool among many that we need for global land restoration. The technology shows promise, particularly in regions where sandy soils dominate and water scarcity limits agricultural options. However, experts caution that no single approach can solve degradation problems. Success requires matching specific soil restoration methods to local conditions, farmer resources, and long-term sustainability goals. If you have any questions about this or any of our other videos, please leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about the people and technologies shaping our green future, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.